Welcome back. Turning now to President Trump's first 100 days in office. The Senate today confirmed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Trump's Health and Human Services Secretary. Kennedy was confirmed in a 52-48 vote, with Senator Mitch McConnell being the only no vote among Republicans. Kennedy will be in control of $1.7 trillion in federal spending, vaccine recommendations, food safety, and health insurance programs for roughly half of the country. And then we have Trump's pick for Education Secretary, Linda McMahon. She began her confirmation hearings today. McMahon said she would preserve core initiatives, including Title I money for low-income schools, Pell Grants for low-income college students, and public loan service forgiveness. She also said that she believes it would take an act of Congress to dismantle the Department of Education, like President Trump wants to do. And it comes as Trump today signed a measure to have tariff rates match what other countries charge on imports. The tariff increases would be customized for each country, with the partial goal of starting new trade negotiations. The Trump administration says this will equalize the ability for the U.S. and foreign manufacturers to compete.
If you build here, you have no tariffs whatsoever. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think our country is going to be flooded with jobs.
Economists say these tariffs will effectively be a tax increase on consumers, either directly or in the form of higher prices. So I want to go ahead and bring in our political insiders now. You probably already know him. We have Craig DeLuz. He is currently the communications director for the California Republican Assembly. And we also have Roger Salazar joining us tonight. He has worked under the Clinton administration as well as Governor Gray Davis. Once again, gentlemen, thank you both for being here so much.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start with the tariffs. We just heard the president talk. You know, he said our country is going to be flooded with jobs. Roger, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on, his tariff plans, along with him, making the statement that our, country will be flooded with jobs after these changes?
Well, it depends on what he means by after, and most of, when you're listening to the experts, most of the experts will tell you that it's going to have a direct impact on prices for consumers. And it's not just Democrats who are saying this thing, these types of things. It's businesses and who lean conservative. The head of Ford, for example, said this would blow a hole in the auto industry. The head of the National Association of Home Builders said, we understand what he's trying to do to lower prices, but these tariffs run completely counter to that, will end up increasing prices for people who are trying to purchase homes and make it a lot more difficult for building as well.
Craig, what are your thoughts?
Well, just as just about everything else that Donald Trump does, it's a negotiating tool. When he did the exact same thing, or very close to the same thing, when he first got elected in 2016, there were a number of deals that we were able to renegotiate with Mexico, with Canada. There were a number of opportunities where we were able to bring manufacturers into the United States that had considered going somewhere else, but it became more cost effective for them to come here. Is it a risk? Yes. But then whenever you go into negotiations, you got to be willing to put something on the table, and you got to be willing to take some risks, and that's what he's doing.
That's what I was going to ask you is this a smart political move?
Well, it's worked in the past, and I think it'll continue to work. Right now, once again, we've seen the successes that he had both in his first term, and we've seen the successes that just the threats of tariffs have had in negotiating with other countries just in these first 3 weeks. Right now, he's playing with house money.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on how much leeway the American public is going to give him, because this is a guy who said that on day one of his presidency, prices were going to come down. They haven't come down. They've actually increased since he's taken office, and it just depends on how much rope the American public is going to give him.
I do want to talk about something else that's controversial, and that's the federal buyouts. We know we've heard a lot about that. Trump is trying to reduce the federal workforce. Again, controversial topic. What do you think is the goal here for the administration? Craig, I'll start with you.
I think the goal is to remove waste and abuse. Once again, I think when it comes to, we're talking about the federal workforce, we're not necessarily talking about fraud, but we're talking about trying to reduce or rather right-size government. Make sure that it is, in fact, efficient. And I think he wants to give people the opportunity, if they desire to, number one, not come into work, because a lot of these folks are people who decided, I don't want to, I want to telecommute. I don't want to come into work 5 days a week. Well, you know what? The federal government is your boss. You need to come into work. If they say you need to come into work, you need to come into work. If you decide not to, well, then tell you what, we'll give you an opportunity to leave. We'll pay you through a certain period of time. And I think in the end, it can be a win-win situation for the 75,000 federal employees who decided to take him up on the offer.
Yeah, I think it's less to do with that, with cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and more to decrease oversight over over a number of the the industries that are out there. I mean, one of the things they want to do is get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So I guess consumer financial protection is not important. They want to get rid of a lot of these different agencies that have, and reduce the agencies that conduct oversight on businesses, whether it be all over the place. So, so I think that this is one of those situations where the Trump administration is trying to play the fraud and abuse card, but ultimately they want to reduce government so that they don't have anybody watching over them.
Well, this is something we're going to continue to talk about, especially because, as you said, paying out people. We're going to be talking about in our streaming show how secure these buyouts are, especially since Congress hasn't approved a bill to fund the government through March. So we're going to continue our conversation. We're also going to be talking about Doge and a couple other things. So make sure you stream us on ABC 10 Plus. We're going to have some great conversations with our political guests. And make sure you stay with us after this break.